Okay, I've been, first of all, I just want to say thank you to everybody. The last two videos that I did, I've been kind of on a small rant, and I apologize for that. I just had to get it out. Again, it's all out. I'm done with that. So, okay, so people are asking me my opinion on the latest and the greatest on what's going on in the multiple areas. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do a quick video, kind of touch bases on them real quick, and just kind of give you my personal opinion. Okay? All right, love him or hate him, there's definitely no doubt that since Donald Trump has taken office, a lot of things have happened. A lot of big changes have happened around the world. We're going to get into that. But other than the obvious, which is the stock market is seeing record highs, all right, and it just continues to set more and more records, and it continues to climb and climb and climb. The job numbers are phenomenal. We're seeing the fastest wage growth that we've ever seen year over year. We're looking at the lowest poverty levels for everybody across the board. The most people off of welfare. It's just been one heck of a year. Or one heck of a term so far for Donald Trump. But, I said this before Trump got into office, and that was whoever was going to take over the presidency was already inheriting the Titanic after it hit the iceberg. But I also said that you could not have asked for a better captain than getting Trump in there. I just didn't realize how good he was going to be at a lot of different things. All right, and we'll talk about that a little bit as we go along. First of all, I want to talk about the gold. Okay, I'm a gold and silver person myself, but you can see in last November on the 18th or 2018, I was telling everybody, look, gold is at 1,250 dollars an ounce. This is a good time. It's only going to go up. I have a feeling it's going to take off like a skyrocket here any moment. Any moment. The markets cannot continue to climb like this. I don't know. I keep saying that. At any time they're going to go down. There's plenty of reasons why I think that. But again, Trump just never ceases to amaze me, and he manages to keep the market afloat. So I can only imagine what he would be able to do if he had control of both the House and the Senate again. Okay, but we'll see. But I still think it's wise of people to invest in gold and silver. Now it was $1,250 or so back in November 2018. We're now at $1,561 an ounce. All right. That's a huge jump. All right. You're probably looking at about, what's that? Oh, I'd say about, just to be on the conservative side, about $300 an ounce. As a matter of fact, it actually hit as high as $1,660. So, but it is back down to $1,560. That's a $300 jump in a short period of time. So if you're holding ounces, that's $300 per ounce that you've made a gain in profits, okay? But I still think gold and silver, not cryptocurrencies, and I'll get into that why in a minute. Gold and silver are always a safe bet. They're a great way to hedge against a crashing market, and they're also a great way to preserve your wealth, all right? Silver. Let's take a look at silver. So silver, at one time when I was playing around with it, was around 14 bucks an ounce. And I had, several thousands of ounces. Unfortunately, I ran into a situation in which I had to hawk a huge portion of my silver. I'm still depressed about it right now. But, since then, it's gone to $4 an ounce. So, I had to sell, a couple thousand ounces of my silver. So you can imagine at $4 an ounce, I lost $4,000 per 1,000 ounces of silver I had to sell. So it's a huge hit to me. But I'm wise enough, and I've been restacking back up again. And this is the safer of the two metals. Silver actually has the most commercial uses, second only to oil. It's a wise investment, and sooner or later, it's going to be pretty close to the value of gold. And I'm anticipating that sooner or later, it's actually going to pass up the value of gold. There's just not a lot of silver out there, and the industry is gobbling it up. Solar panels, you name it. I actually did a video in which I showed where silver is being used on a lot of different things. Gold is not really used. It's used for jewelry, but the industry purposes that are the industrial uses for gold are actually getting ready to go away. Gold is used on computers. It's really great for being conductive, but there is a gentleman at MIT who has generated or created a synthetic type of gold that can be used on computers that's 10 times better than actual gold. So once that's finalized, there's not going to be a use for gold I just don't think it's going to have the same type of value as silver. That's just my personal opinion. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. All these are just my personal opinion. Okay, so if I was you, I would start stocking up on silver. I told everybody in November 2018 to start stocking up on silver. If you're smart enough to jump on that, you gain $4 for every ounce that you got. Okay. Now, I'm not a huge fan of cryptocurrencies, but I'm also wise enough to understand that there is going to be a window of opportunity in which you can make some pretty good money off this if you time it just right. I do hold cryptocurrency. I hold one cryptocurrency, and that's XRP. I don't trust anything else. I used to get crazy and try to buy all the other ones, and just in the process of trying to learn how this market rolls. I quickly learned that I lost a lot of money just playing around with it. So what I learned is the most consistent investment in cryptocurrencies is XRP. So if you're looking at Bitcoin, Bitcoin is like gold. It's a good investment. It does have huge swings by the hundreds of dollars. If you own a coin, so one Bitcoin is like owning 1 ounce of gold, in equivalence to the way it swings up and down. Okay, so Bitcoin would be the gold, and XRP would be the silver. So if you can't afford the Bitcoin gold, then go ahead and go for the XRP silver. It's very affordable. You can see here it was just 18 cents, or actually I think it went down to 16 cents at one time for each coin. It went back up to 22 cents here for a while. It has a very, very volatile market. It's just, I think there's a need for cryptocurrencies. We noticed that as soon as everybody thought we were going to war, gold and silver shot up along with cryptocurrencies. So I know a lot of countries are trying to use cryptocurrencies to circumvent a lot of the tariffs and trade restrictions that are out there. I know China has a huge, is in this market big time. All right, but I don't think it's a long term. I really think it's a short term. I think you're going to see these things shoot up. Once the market crashes, it's going to be a safe haven for people to dump money in, not the banks, because if you have money in the bank, go research what happened to Cyprus, Greece, a couple years ago, and you understand why people are not going to trust the banks. All right. I think people are going to dump their money into cryptocurrencies as a type of safe haven. I think that's going to be an opportunity where people can make a lot of gains. So I would encourage that. You try to buy some. I wouldn't have a whole lot. That's just my opinion. But, I have several thousand shares of XRP. And I just continue to add to it. But again, I just think it's a short term. What I mean by short term is like 2 to 3 years, maybe 4 to 5 at the most. I know there's a lot of you crypto junkies out there who are going to jump all over this and you're going to give me your opinion. I get it. You guys are really into this and you think it's the way of the future. That's just not. It's just too unsafe. It's not secure at all. It can be hacked. There's nothing backing any cryptocurrencies up, and you can't get behind any kind of currency in which some dude could flip a switch and instantly create trillions of coins. It's just too much. There's a lot of pumping and dumping going on in this industry. It's really unstable, but I do think there's a window there for this for people to make money on this. Okay, so let's get past those here, and let's talk about the latest and the greatest. In case you haven't heard, Donald Trump, he's a genius. I mean, he made the United States totally independent of the oil that's over in the Middle East. So when we have these incidences like we just did with Iran, the oil prices go up. It doesn't affect us that much, okay? But we have so much oil, we're now the number one energy exporter in the world that Saudi Arabia has now signed a huge deal with the oil company in Texas. They want to buy a ton of oil from the United States. That's a new contract that just came out. You can do the research. So that tells you, again, it's just Donald Trump is really wise when it comes to stuff like this. He went back into removing a lot of regulations, making us, or drilling our own oil that we had here. That was stopped by the Democrats, of course. I'm not picking on them, but I am. Okay, and Trump started drilling oil. Now we're the number one energy exporter in the world, and so much so that Saudi Arabia is now purchasing oil from us, and that's a huge move, okay? So that's a good thing. So let's get past that. All right, so what's going on with the dinar? We know what's going on with the dinar. There's a lot of things going on in Iraq that people are concerned about. All right, so let's kind of cover all these. This is just going to be a quick what to do. I'm still doing a lot of reading and a lot of research about the dinar. Mostly the fact that I see a lot of countries. I can just tell you this: there's no doubt that banks around the world. There's a lot of different financial banking institutions that hold dinar. It's everywhere around the world. All right, so it's still my theory that the majority of Iraqi dinar is being held in financial institutions, and there really is not that much out in the open market in the hands of people like us, investors. All right, that doesn't mean there's not a lot out there. There is, but I just don't think there's as much as people think. And the fact that these financial institutions are holding the dinar, you got to understand that most banks don't hold currencies for the sole purpose of getting rich off a rate exchange. They hold it for different purposes. They have to do, when you're doing a lot of trading or importing and exporting with the country, that benefits these banks, especially investment banks and trade banks, to hold the currencies of other countries so that they could do business that way. Okay, so I'm not done researching. I'm seriously been down a lot of different rabbit holes. It's definitely been interesting, the things I've come across. Okay, so let's get into a couple of things that's going on here. We know that a couple of things that need to happen in Iraq. We know that we have to have a stable government there, all right? We know that the protesters have been there. They're not happy about the Iranian puppets that are within the government, and they've been raising hell about it, okay? But before, in the past, whether you're in Yemen, whether you're in Iraq, whether you're even in Iran, Syria, any of these places, if you started a protest against your government, a little shadow government guy would come in and he would pretty much kill you or lock you up in jail, all right? And we'll go over who that is. But the Iraqi government, we need stability there. The problem with the instability going on in the Iraqi government and the protesters raising hell is a lot of outside investors are pulling out. Now, why is this important? Well, the currency, right now, the value of the Iraqi dinar is solely depending on the oil, the amount of oil production, and the amount of oil per barrel. And so in order for Iraq to have a much more stable currency, they need other forms of income for the country. So that's why it's important for outside investors to come into the country and build companies there. Because the more revenue streams that the government could create, a lot of more taxes, it just makes the currency that much more stronger, okay? And because, the oil production and oil supply, some major event comes along and interrupts that in any way, shape, or form, it hurts the value of the currency because they're really just relying on oil. Okay, so we need other forms of income. The economy needs to strengthen a lot better than just relying on oil. Okay, we know they got gold. We know they have agriculture is another big thing for Iraq, but this country can't seem to get it together. But a big portion of that is because there's been a lot of outside interference, mainly Iran, just messing around. Iran's little tentacles have reached over into a lot of countries. When Obama gave them the $150 billion, they used that money to fund a lot of proxies, all right, and they built a lot of weapons. And so, they just interfered with a lot of different countries and what was going on. And in the process, try to push the United States out of the Middle East. Well, that didn't quite go as planned, of course. Okay, so we need the Iraqi government to get their crap together. And then also to calm things down with the protesters. Because until the protesters calm down, and they're not going to calm down until they get them Iranian puppets out of there. But we need them to calm down because it's really a deterrent to outside investors, all right? And we need these outside investors to get in there, okay? So we know that the Ayatollah here, here's what's going on. We know that they had their little grubby hands in a bunch of different countries all over the Middle East. They've been using fear. They've been killing people. They've been using their proxy soldiers, these different terrorist groups, to control these countries to do what they wanted. All right, but people don't know this. Ayatollah here has cancer. He's dying. All right, and to add injury to insult, his right hand man was just recently killed. We know this. All right, so with Iran's Ayatollah, their leader is dying of cancer. We're not sure how much longer he has. They have ran out of a lot of money, and Trump has put the screws to this country with these tariffs on them and sanctions on them. They're almost dang flat broke. All right. And so I think people around the Middle East are starting to pick up on this. So here we have, you know this, just so I don't mess up his name, I believe his name is Somani is how you pronounce it, but also him and Mohandas. So Mohandas, if I'm not mistaken, was the leader of Hamas in Iraq. So Trump has taken out a lot of major terrorist leaders. So these people here were the guy in the Hamas leader was running the ambush against the U.S. embassy, as we know, in Iraq, trying to force the American people out of there. They really wanted to try to recreate what happened in Iran back in 1979. It just didn't happen. The difference between Benghazi and Iran embassy is this. There were stand down orders to keep our military from coming in and saving our American people in Benghazi. 4 people lost their lives. And we were told and lied to by the American people, or from our government, the Obama administration, that some stupid video on YouTube cost them their lives. It was a lie. Now, the difference between Trump and Obama, as soon as they started attacking the Iranian embassy in Iran, or sorry, let me read it, the U.S. embassy in Iraq, he didn't put everybody on standby. As a matter of fact, he sent over a ton of soldiers right away, and they got the protesters to stand down after a couple of days. But apparently there were some future attacks in the making, and that's why Trump took out this general here and then this head of Hamas, all right? So, with this guy gone, his reach was far. He reached into a lot of countries, and, he would tamper down any protests that were there. He would kill unarmed citizens that were protesting against the government. Well, this guy's gone. He's no longer there. So this is a good thing. And people celebrated in Yemen, Syria. We've seen them celebrating in Iran and Iraq. Don't believe the state-run Iran news. I show you millions of people at this guy's funeral. Oh, no, they were forced there. In case you didn't see all the YouTube videos from people in Iran that were able to get him out, they were saying that the military is going door to door. And if you didn't agree to go to the funeral, they were killing people. All right? So the people going to this guy's funeral, they were all mourning his loss was not real. This guy's death was celebrated in a multitude of countries. As a matter of fact, in Iran, there was a hashtag thank you Trump trending big time. All right. So this is big news. This really does, I think, help free a lot of countries from the grasp of Iran. And hopefully now, we'll know here shortly, but hopefully now they'll be able to prosper and get the type of governments they need in there without these, because the proxy terrorist groups, the ones that were in Iraq saw what happened. They saw that that this guy was killed, and the terrorists that were there are hightailing it out because Iran couldn't do anything. Look, they called us 4 hours before they launched their missiles. They had no intentions in getting into a war with us. As much as the media wanted to hype up that orange man bad, he's going to get us into World War III. We've heard it all before. When he called Kim from North Korea Little Rocket Man, they said he was going to get us into a nuclear war. It never happened, all right? When they got into a trade war with Xi, President China's Xi, then they told us, oh, we're going to end up in World War III. Millions of people are going to die. It never happened. When we were messing with Iran, they were like, oh, we're going to be in another World War III. It never happened. Look these are the people protesting in Iraq. There's the people protesting in Lebanon. All right. So these countries are standing up against their corrupt government. They're tired of it. They want a democracy. They want to be free of Iran's grip. Okay, that's not the only ones. Look at this. Even in Iran, Iran's own people is rising up against their government. They try to hide it from the media so that we can't see it over in this and here. But this is taking a toll. They don't have the money anymore. That $150 billion gift that Obama gave them is drying up. And then you add on to the fact that they got a really poor economy. This makes a good recipe for these people to finally have a democracy installed in there. Will it happen? I don't know. It could just be wishful thinking, but we'll find out. With the leaders of all these terrorist groups being taken out, I mean, you just seen that the general was killed, the Hamas leader was killed in Iraq. This is Hamza bin Laden. He took over in Al Qaeda for, his father was Osama bin Laden. This kid was killed. Oh, he was taken out. Trump's people took him out. This is al-Baghdadi. He was killed. This is the leader of ISIS. So you got the leader of Al-Qaeda dead. The leader of ISIS. Actually, the top two leaders of ISIS were killed. And yes, I can hear them people out there already going, yeah, but as soon as you kill them, they replace them with other people. But these people were all mostly being funded by Iran. But Iran wasn't the only people that Obama was nice enough to give money to. Obama also gave money to the Muslim Brotherhoods. That's very nice of him. He gave money to ISIS and he gave money to Iran. So what I'm hoping is all this money seems to be drying up, and we're hoping that these proxy wars being fought by these terrorist groups are finally starting to die down, and we might see some peace in the Middle East. Now, yeah, that's wishful thinking, but come on now. Let's just hope that that really happens. We need these things to happen in order for Iraq to get their independence. They already got their sovereignty. We just need them to get their crap together and be more stable, okay? With all these people out of the way, then, this allows for outside investors to come in. This is what we need. With all the things that these people think are a threat, we can start having outside investors coming back into Iraq. They're going to start opening up businesses. It's going to lower unemployment. People are going to start buying things. People are going to start paying taxes. This is going to strengthen the economy. This is what we want to happen. We want the economy to go up. If the economy strengthens, this only strengthens the Iraqi dinar. Okay? Yeah, this is going to take time for it to happen. This is why I still believe, as much as I read about where the rate was supposed to be and as much I get in debates about them, I can just tell you right now, the two constant pushes by the IMF and the CBI is that the rate is somewhere around $1.13 to $1.24. That's where they are pushing it to be when it gets reinstated. That I can tell you. The Iraqi government thinks they deserve to be reinstated at the 320. It's just not going to happen. There has to be a sweet spot. And the reason for that is if it's too low, inflation will be too high for outside companies to come in and do business. There's going to be a lot of importing and exporting. That's why the rate's got to be somewhere around $1.13 to $1.24. All right. Just making it just right to do a lot of importing and exporting. Okay. And keeping it fairly cheap until the economy starts growing. Then I believe what the plan was that the rate would stay at for 3 years at about $1.24 is what they were saying. And then after that, they would gradually increase it as the economy strengthened. People started working. People were trusting the banks. This is what we want to see happen. So now with all these people out of the way, thanks to Trump and his administration, this man's making it possible. Will it work? I don't know. People thought this guy was going to start World War III. It didn't happen. If the Iran really wanted war, they wouldn't have called us 4 hours ahead of time and told us to clear off our bases, shoot 15 to 18 missiles, and miss the outside of the base. All right, come on now. This is not going to happen. Every time people thought Trump was going to fail with foreign policy and get us into a war, he has won every single time. We have phase one with China. Now, we all know that China's never, ever kept any of their agreements. So this should be interesting because the way Trump's setting them up, they don't have a choice. If they fail, the biggest wave of tariffs will wipe them out. All right. So I think you're going to see this last year, the Trump's fourth year, his election year, you're going to see a lot of new agreements take place that people didn't think were possible. I think you're going to see the China trade deal, phase one get signed. We already know the USMCA, the MC deal is being signed. We know the Japan's new deal is going to be signed. We're also looking forward to Brexit. Now, I'm concerned about Brexit. I will tell you this, because when Brexit breaks away from the EU, which is what we want them to do, we go into a new trade deal with them, but it's going to hit the European market kind of hard. You're going to see some issues over there take place, but with Britain leaving the EU, you're going to see, in my opinion, a tsunami of countries trying to get the hell out of the EU as well, including Spain, Italy. You're going to see a lot of those countries try to break out of there, and rightfully so. All right, so if that happens, you can see it's not going to be very good at first. You're going to see some, I think, some pretty good hits to the economy until people can get their footing, and then as we sign new agreements around the world, then then things will start to get back to hopefully being stable. But anyways, how's this affected the dinar? Well, what we need again in Iraq is this: We need them to reestablish their government again. We need them to get out the Iranian puppets if possible. The people are going to raise hell now. They have the right to. There's nobody there to stop them. Okay, that we know that the Iran in the past has always pulled stupid little stunts, but the first time somebody punches them on the nose, they tend to back up way up. And Trump, we've learned, is not no joke. This guy is the real deal. And when he tells you there's a red line, he obviously means it. And in addition to that, he also has been able to show a lot of restraint when needed. All right. So, with that in mind, I just don't think Iraq is going to be much of a threat. I might be wrong, but with the Ayatollah dying of cancer, the general dead, the Hamas leader in Iraq that they've been using to run proxy interference in Iraq is now out of the way. There's no more al-Baghdadi. He's gone. And the number 2 guy is gone. So, you know, that's a lot of good things for Iraq. It's time for them to just get their crap together and do something about this. Do something positive. They need to bring stability into the country. So you want to do that? Put in your new government, appease the protesters, get them calmed down right away. This could be done quickly. You can get a new government within 3 weeks in there. I have faith in you guys. Once that's done, outside investors will see some stability there. They'll start coming back in and the economy start growing. But in order for them to really get a wave of outside investors to come in, we need them to change that rate. All right, so let's see if we can get this rate done between now and the end of March, okay? All right, anyways, I just thought I would share a quick couple things with you. Everybody, you have a good day. Bye. Oh, yeah, like, subscribe, and leave some comments and let me know what you think, okay? Have a good one.